The galaxy was a vast and strange place. With billions of stars and even more planets, it was home to countless species, each with its own customs, cultures, and languages. The Galactic Council, made up of the most advanced beings in the universe, had spent centuries studying the many civilizations scattered across the stars. They believed they understood the laws of the universe, the patterns of life, and the behaviors of every species they encountered. But there was one thing they couldn't quite understand: humans. It all began one day when a strange phrase reached the ears of the Galactic Council. A transmission from a far-off human world caught the attention of the council members. The humans had said something that the council had never heard before. "Hold my beer," the humans had said. To any normal species, this might seem like a harmless expression. But for the Galactic Council, it was a mystery. They had never encountered a phrase so simple, yet so full of potential danger. The Galactic Council had studied humans for decades. They had observed their behaviors, their technology, and even their strange ability to adapt to almost any situation. But this phrase, "hold my beer," seemed to be a turning point. The Council couldn't understand why this one sentence had made such an impact. To the humans, it was just a casual phrase, something said when someone was about to do something bold or reckless. But to the Galactic Council, it signaled something much more. They had seen many species act without caution, but no species had ever done so with such confidence and fearlessness as the humans. It was as if this simple phrase marked the beginning of something terrifying for the galaxy. The Council decided to investigate further. They sent a team of elite observers to Earth to study humans closely. They watched how humans behaved when they said those words. What they saw shocked them. When a human said, "Hold my beer," it wasn't just an expression. It was a warning, a signal that something dangerous was about to happen. Humans, it seemed, were always ready to push the limits of what was possible. They took risks others wouldn't even consider. From space exploration to underground cave diving, they were always seeking new challenges. But there was something uniquely unsettling about the way they approached danger. When a human said, "Hold my beer," they were about to do something extraordinary, something that no other species would even dare attempt. The Galactic Council had long believed that their advanced technology and superior intelligence made them the most powerful beings in the galaxy. But watching humans in action made them question that belief. Every time a human uttered those words, the Council's threat-level systems went into high alert. They could sense that something unpredictable was about to unfold. It wasn't long before the Council realized that humans were different from every species they had encountered before. Most species followed rules, obeyed their leaders, and avoided risks. But not humans. They thrived on chaos. They excelled in the unknown. And most terrifying of all, they seemed to enjoy it. As the days passed, the Galactic Council's analysts began to put together a theory. The phrase "hold my beer" was more than just a casual saying. It was a cultural signal. It represented the human spirit, a refusal to accept limits, and a drive to prove that they could do the impossible. It was a declaration of war, not against other species, but against the very concept of safety. They didn't just break rules, they rewrote them. The Galactic Council began to understand the danger humans posed. They were unpredictable, and no one knew what they would do next. It was this unpredictability that terrified the Council. They had studied war, technology, and power for centuries, but they had never encountered a species like humanity. The humans' willingness to face danger head-on, without fear or hesitation, made them a force to be reckoned with. The Council was not used to being afraid. They had conquered countless worlds, overthrown empires, and crushed any opposition that dared to challenge their authority. But humanity was different. The more they learned, the more they realized that the humans' wild, untamed spirit made them a serious threat. The Council's top strategists began to devise plans for dealing with the human threat. But every time they thought they had a solution, the humans would do something completely unexpected. One day they would launch a surprise space mission to explore a distant galaxy, and the next they would engage in some seemingly pointless but incredibly dangerous stunt. The humans had no regard for safety or the rules of the galaxy, and that, the Galactic Council realized, was their greatest strength. As the Galactic Council debated what to do, they found themselves coming to a shocking conclusion. They had no control over humans. They couldn't predict their actions or understand their motives, and they certainly couldn't stop them. The only thing the Council could do was watch and wait, and as they did, the humans continued to defy expectations, always daring to do what no other species would. The phrase "hold my beer" had become a symbol of humanity's fearlessness and unpredictability, and with every new adventure, every new challenge the humans took on, the galaxy watched in awe and terror. No one knew what would happen next, but one thing was certain. When humans said, "Hold my beer," the universe would never be the same again. Galactic Council sat in their grand hall, a place where decisions that shaped the universe were made. But today, the room was filled with tension. The usual calm and order had been replaced by a sense of unease. Every member of the Council was fixated on the human species. Their latest actions had left the galaxy in a state of uncertainty. The phrase "hold my beer" had begun to spread across the stars, but not in the way anyone had expected. Humans weren't just using it in their daily lives. They were embracing it as a challenge, as a symbol of defiance. The Galactic Council had underestimated them, and now they were paying the price. The more they observed, the more they realized that humanity didn't follow the typical rules of civilization. The humans thrived in chaos, and that made them dangerous in a way the Council couldn't predict. The first shockwave came when a group of human explorers decided to venture into a dangerous black hole. It was a well-known fact that nothing could survive a black hole's gravitational pull, not even the most advanced technology in the galaxy. Every species, every civilization, had steered clear of such an anomaly. But the humans, they saw it as an opportunity. "Hold my beer," one of the astronauts had said before they initiated the risky mission. To the humans, it was just a phrase. To the rest of the galaxy, it was a warning, a sign that something extraordinary was about to happen. As the Council watched, their screens displayed the unthinkable. The human crew had entered the black hole. The Galactic Council's experts could only sit in stunned silence. They thought it was the end for the humans, that they would never return. But to their astonishment, the humans emerged from the other side of the black hole, alive and unharmed. Their technology had managed to withstand the impossible, and their crew had come back with data that no one thought possible. The Galactic Council had never encountered a species so fearless. Humans were not only capable of surviving in the face of the most unimaginable dangers, but they also found ways to adapt, to overcome, and to defy the very laws of physics. It was as if they had the ability to rewrite the rules of the universe itself. This wasn't just about surviving. It was about thriving in conditions where every other species would fail. The more the Council watched, the more they realized they couldn't predict what humans would do next. They had sent their best warriors to Earth, expecting to study the human species and learn their weaknesses. But when the elite warriors witnessed the sheer unpredictability of humanity, they were left in shock. These warriors had seen the strongest and most advanced beings in the galaxy cower before them, but now they found themselves terrified by human children. It was during a routine observation that the warriors witnessed something truly bizarre. A group of human children was playing a game of tag in a park, their laughter echoing through the air. To the warriors, it seemed like a harmless game, nothing more than childish fun. But to their surprise, the humans were not just playing a simple game. They were pushing their bodies to the limits. The speed, the agility, the creativity in their movements left the warriors awestruck. "What are they doing?" one of the warriors asked, his voice trembling. "They are playing a game," another answered, though the fear in his voice was unmistakable. The warriors had fought in countless battles across the galaxy. They had faced deadly predators and dangerous environments. But they had never seen anything like this. The children's game was a chaotic, unpredictable dance of speed and agility, and it was unlike anything the warriors had ever experienced. They had been trained for combat, to face the fiercest enemies in the universe. But this was different. There was a power in the way the children moved, in the way they pushed their bodies beyond what was thought possible. As the warriors watched, they felt something they had never experienced before: fear. The human children's play was a reminder that humanity was capable of the most unexpected things. The children didn't know the meaning of limits. They didn't care about rules. They played with a wild energy that was both terrifying and captivating. It was the same energy that had propelled humans to take on black holes, to challenge the laws of physics, and to explore the unknown. Back on the Council's homeworld, the leaders gathered to discuss the new developments. The reports from the warriors had been sent in, and the fear in their voices was undeniable. "We must contain this," one of the council members said. "The humans are unpredictable, and we cannot allow them to continue down this path." But another council member, more cautious, disagreed. "We don't fully understand them," they said. "Their power lies in their unpredictability. It is not something we can easily control." And so, the council was divided. Some wanted to shut humanity down before they could become a true threat to the galaxy. Others saw the humans as a mystery, something that could either be a great asset or a powerful enemy. But one thing was clear to all of them: humanity's ability to challenge the status quo was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. As the council debated, the humans continued their journey, exploring, adapting, and thriving in ways that no other species dared to imagine. Every time they faced a challenge, every time they encountered an obstacle, they found a way to overcome it. And as long as they continued to say, "Hold my beer," the galaxy would remain on high alert, wondering just what the humans would do next. The galaxy had always been a place of rules, of order, and of predictability. But humanity had shown them that sometimes the most terrifying force in the universe wasn't the strongest weapon or the most advanced technology. It was the unpredictable, unstoppable spirit of humanity itself. You said. As the Galactic Council continued to monitor the humans, they quickly realized that the true power of the human species was not just in their technology or bravery. It was in their resilience, their ability to think outside the box, and their complete lack of fear when faced with the impossible. These were the qualities that set humans apart from every other species in the galaxy. A meeting was convened within the council to discuss the growing concerns about humanity. The more they learned, the more they realized that humans were not just surviving in the face of danger, they were thriving. And this was no ordinary species. The human's very nature seemed to defy all logic. They didn't simply adapt to challenges. They excelled in ways no one could predict. One particular example stood out. A human fleet had been sent to explore an uncharted system that was known to be highly unstable. The system had an asteroid belt so dense that no ship had ever made it through. Every species in the galaxy that had attempted to navigate it had been destroyed, until the humans arrived. They didn't attempt to take the safest route or follow the path that every other species had tried. Instead, the human fleet approached the asteroid belt with reckless abandon, weaving in and out of the deadly rocks like a swarm of bees. The rest of the galaxy watched in disbelief as the humans not only survived, but emerged from the belt with valuable resources and data that no one thought possible. How did they do it? A member of the council asked, puzzled. "They think differently," replied one of the human specialists in the council's observation team. "While others see danger and calculate every possible risk, humans see challenges and embrace them head-on. It's a mindset that we simply cannot replicate." The realization that humans did not operate within the same constraints as other species was starting to sink in. It wasn't just about their physical strength or advanced technology. Humans were unpredictable, capable of overcoming obstacles in ways that had never been thought possible. And the more the Galactic Council studied them, the more it became clear the humans thrived in the chaos. Even their history was filled with examples of the unexpected. When their world was on the brink of destruction from a massive asteroid impact, humanity didn't just sit and wait for their fate. Instead, they came together, pooling their resources to build a massive defense system, redirecting the asteroid, and saving their planet. It was an accomplishment that left every other species in awe. But it wasn't just their technological feats that made the Council nervous. It was how they approached everything in life. The phrase, "hold my beer," which had now become a staple of human culture, was a perfect representation of their mentality. It was a declaration of confidence, of fearlessness, and above all, of their refusal to accept limits. The Galactic Federation, a coalition of the most advanced species in the galaxy, had long been known for its order and discipline. The idea of rules was something that defined them. But humanity had no interest in rules. They broke them, bent them, and rewrote them whenever they saw fit. And that unpredictability was what made them dangerous. One of the council members, an elder from a long-lived species, spoke up. "We have always been the dominant force in the galaxy. We have always controlled the flow of events. But these humans, they refuse to be controlled. They are a force unlike any we have ever encountered." A younger council member, one who had been studying humanity closely, nodded. "They're like a wildfire, growing stronger the more you try to contain them. The more we try to control them, the more they'll fight back. Their greatest strength is their ability to push forward without fear of the consequences." And that was the root of the Council's fear. Humanity did not fear consequences. They didn't fear failure, and they didn't fear death. And when it came time for humanity to face a threat, whether it was a natural disaster, an alien invasion, or a seemingly insurmountable obstacle, they always found a way to succeed, often in ways no one could predict. The more the Council learned, the more they realized that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their military power. It was their mindset. It was their refusal to accept that anything was impossible. Meanwhile, humanity continued to grow and evolve, spreading across the stars. Every new challenge they faced only made them stronger. They encountered strange alien species, hostile environments, and complex technologies, but they always found a way to adapt. Every time they said, "Hold my beer," they proved to the galaxy that no challenge was too great. The Galactic Council now faced an uncertain future. Humanity had shown that they could conquer the impossible, and they had proven time and time again that they were not to be underestimated. For the first time in the history of the galaxy, the balance of power was no longer as clear as it once was. The question that now loomed over the Council was not whether humanity could be defeated. It was whether they could ever be truly controlled. And as the human species continued to push the boundaries of what was thought to be possible, the rest of the galaxy could only watch in awe, knowing that they were witnessing something extraordinary. For humanity had learned the most powerful lesson of all. In the face of the unknown, in the face of chaos and danger, they would always rise to the occasion. And as long as they continued to say, "Hold my beer," the galaxy would be forever changed. As the news of humanity's audacity spread throughout the galaxy, the reactions from different species were mixed. Some were deeply frightened, sensing that the time of the Galactic Federation's control was coming to an end. Others were curious, eager to understand how humans could defy the natural order of the universe. But one thing was certain: no one could ignore the humans any longer. The more the human species proved their unpredictability and resilience, the more uneasy the Galactic Federation became. They had seen what humanity was capable of when pushed to the edge, and they knew that the galaxy could not stay the same if humans continued to rise. No longer could the Federation's powerful members rely on their age-old methods of maintaining control. They needed to find a way to neutralize the potential threat posed by the humans. A covert meeting was called by the Galactic Federation's top leaders, an alliance of species that had long held dominion over the stars. Sitting around a round table in a chamber that floated high above their homeworld, the leaders discussed the growing problem that was humanity. One of the oldest and most influential members of the Federation, a towering insectoid species known as the Vrath, leaned forward. Their compound eyes glinted with concern. Humans have proven that they are capable of disrupting the natural order. Their ability to defy logic and rules is unprecedented. We cannot let them continue to operate without checks. Another member, a sleek and calculating race called the Jari, nodded in agreement. The humans' chaos has infected every corner of the galaxy. Our efforts to prevent their expansion have failed. Every time we try to control them, they simply adapt and thrive. It's as though they have no natural boundaries. We cannot let this continue, said a member of the Vrath Council, a race known for their harsh and calculating nature. The humans are moving faster than we anticipated. They've turned every setback into an advantage, and now they're making alliances we didn't think possible. We need to strike before they grow too powerful. We've tried that, the Jari tactician replied. The last time we moved against them, they crushed us. Their unpredictability makes them too dangerous to engage in open conflict. But if we don't act now, the Vrath leader pressed, they will eventually reach a point where they can challenge the Federation directly. We cannot afford to wait. A long silence fell over the room. The Federation's leadership was torn between two opposing strategies: the continued use of influence and manipulation, or an open military confrontation. The risks were immense. If they attacked the humans directly, they risked triggering a war that could engulf the entire galaxy. But if they allowed humanity to continue to grow unchecked, they might find themselves facing a foe that could destroy them. As the debate raged on, the human leadership remained unaware of the Federation's growing desperation. They were busy, as always, with their own challenges: new colonies, new territories to explore, new species to encounter. But the Federation's maneuvers were not going unnoticed by some. The Federation had a spy within the human ranks, a double agent who had been planted years ago in the hopes of gathering intelligence on the humans. His name was Jalen, a former member of a neutral species who had defected to the Federation for reasons known only to him. He had spent years living among the humans, gaining their trust, but now he was faced with a difficult choice. Jalen had come to admire the human spirit, their ability to rise above adversity, their unyielding will, and their relentless drive to push forward. He had seen the Federation's manipulations, and he was no longer sure he could align himself with their vision of galactic control. The humans, he realized, were not the monsters the Federation had painted them to be. They were simply a species unlike any other, and their strength lay in their differences, their ability to thrive in the face of chaos. Now, Jalen found himself at a crossroads. His orders were clear: feed the Federation information, report on human movements, and keep the Alliance's plans hidden. But Jalen was beginning to question whether his loyalty to the Federation was worth the cost. He had witnessed enough to know that if humanity ever truly saw the Federation for what it was, the consequences would be dire for them. Jalen had a choice to make: remain loyal to his former masters, or help the humans and face the wrath of the Federation. As he sat in his quarters, the weight of his decision pressing down on him, he couldn't help but think about what might happen if he chose the latter. One thing was clear: the future of the galaxy was about to change forever, and the Federation's plan to control humanity was no longer certain. And so, the stage was set for a conflict that would shake the galaxy to its core. The Federation had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt and thrive. But as the humans continued to prove time and time again, they were a force unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The game was far from over, and the Federation was about to discover just how much they had underestimated their new, most unpredictable opponent. The tension in the Federation's high command reached a boiling point. The human adaptation to their manipulations had been nothing short of extraordinary. The species they had once dismissed as primitive was now evolving into a formidable force, one they couldn't control, and that terrified the Federation. Desperation was starting to spread among the Federation's leadership. What had begun as a simple diplomatic strategy to isolate humanity had now escalated into an existential crisis. The Federation had underestimated the humans, and the consequences were becoming painfully clear. Inside the Federation's command center, the leaders convened one last time. They had tried everything: spreading fear, creating false narratives, turning allies against the humans, but each move had failed. The humans had adapted, formed alliances, and even gained more influence among other species. The Federation could no longer deny it. Humanity was a threat to their control over the galaxy. A council member from the Furan species, a cold, calculating race known for their tactical genius, slammed his fist onto the table. "We cannot let this continue. We have failed with every strategy. It's time for action." The room fell into an uneasy silence. Everyone knew what that meant. The Federation had already discussed military options, but the risk of open war was enormous. To attack humanity would be to ignite a conflict that could consume the galaxy. However, if they didn't act now, the Federation could find itself facing an unstoppable force. "We have no choice but to escalate," another member of the council, a Vekler diplomat, said with a bitter tone. "The humans will not bow to us through subtlety. They never have. The only option left is to unleash everything we have at them. It will be a final, decisive strike." The Federation's military leaders were skeptical. In their past attempts to neutralize human forces, they had seen what happened when the humans were cornered. They fought back with a ferocity and unpredictability that no one had anticipated. But now, with no other options on the table, they reluctantly agreed. It was time to make their final move. Meanwhile, humanity was unaware of the storm that was brewing. They had always been prepared for threats, but the Federation's growing aggression had been subtle until now. The humans had built an expansive network of allies, secured valuable resources, and strengthened their defense capabilities. But there was still an undercurrent of unease. The Federation had played their hand in many ways, and humans were beginning to notice the subtle shifts in their interactions with other species. The Earth Alliance's leaders, including President Alexis Carter, gathered their top military and diplomatic advisors. They had been receiving reports of Federation activity, diplomatic moves, strange military buildups, and subtle destabilizations of human relations with allied species. It all pointed to one thing: the Federation was getting ready to move. But what could they do? Humanity wasn't in a position to launch a full-scale assault across the galaxy. Instead, they had to rely on their strongest asset: adaptability. "We know the Federation is coming," President Carter said in a calm, collected tone. "But we also know that they don't understand us. They underestimate our ability to change and adapt to any situation. We will use that against them." The military leaders were quick to agree. They weren't prepared for a conventional war with the Federation, but they were experts at unconventional tactics. Humanity had always excelled in unpredictable, high-stakes situations. Their ability to turn the tide of a battle with innovative thinking and guerrilla tactics had already been proven in the past. This would be no different. In the weeks that followed, humanity worked feverishly to strengthen their defenses. They focused on bolstering their communication networks, ensuring that any Federation attempt to shut down human infrastructure would fail. They also expanded their alliances, reaching out to any species that had felt the Federation's heavy hand in the past. Slowly but surely, they built a coalition that was ready to face whatever came next. Jalin, the double agent who had been reporting to the Federation for years, found himself caught in a dangerous position. He had made his choice. No longer willing to betray the humans, he secretly passed information to them, warning them of the Federation's impending strike. It was a risk he had to take. His loyalty to the Federation had been shaken long ago, but now it was clear. Humanity had something the Federation could never hope to control. The Federation's final move was swift and brutal. They launched an all-out assault on a key. As the Galactic Federation's leaders began to realize that the humans could not be easily controlled, their strategy shifted. The Federation had spent centuries maintaining the balance of power by ensuring that each species knew their place in the galaxy. It was a system of order that had worked for eons. But now, this fragile peace was threatened by the unpredictable nature of humanity. The Federation's intelligence officers had been gathering data on humanity's behavior, and the results were staggering. Humans didn't just defy their enemies. They made enemies respect them. The history of human warfare alone was enough to send shivers down the spines of the Federation's elite. The humans had fought wars not only against each other, but also against forces far beyond their capabilities. And they'd won, time and time again. How did they do it? One of the senior officials, a foreign strategist, questioned aloud, pacing back and forth. The other leaders sat in silence, considering the implications of what the humans had achieved. "I don't know," replied a Jari tactician, his voice cold and calculating. "They're different from any species we've ever encountered. They don't follow the expected patterns. Their unpredictability is both terrifying and fascinating." The Forians stopped pacing and turned to face the council. Perhaps that's their strength. They don't fear anything. And when they face an obstacle, they don't shrink away. Instead, they rise to meet it, no matter the odds. This is not something we can simply calculate or predict. They're like a force of nature, something raw and untenable. "But that's the problem," the Jari replied. "Their sheer unpredictability makes them dangerous. It would be foolish to underestimate them, yet we cannot control them. They don't follow any of our rules. Their wild nature could spread like wildfire across the galaxy, and there would be nothing we could do to stop it." The council was beginning to panic. The once unshakable Federation was now on edge, unsure of what the humans might do next. They had tried intimidation. They had tried diplomacy. They had tried force. Yet every time, humanity had found a way to break through. Meanwhile, on Earth, the humans had no idea that their actions were causing such turmoil across the stars. Their leaders were focused on more earthly concerns, like the growth of their intergalactic colonies and the challenges of establishing a stable presence in the universe. The human spirit of exploration was unstoppable, and they were determined to explore, expand, and conquer, no matter the cost. But what the Federation didn't realize was that their failure to control humanity was also a sign of their own downfall. As the Federation scrambled to adjust to humanity's resilience, humans were busy making alliances with alien species that had once been enemies. Humans had a unique ability to connect with others, regardless of their species, and that made them powerful allies. In a way, their unpredictability became their greatest weapon. As humans expanded across the galaxy, they had no fear of alien cultures. They didn't see differences as weaknesses, but rather as opportunities to learn, grow, and adapt. The Federation's strict system of power and control, once unchallenged, now seemed old and outdated in comparison to the dynamic way in which humans operated. On the frontier of human space exploration, a small fleet of human ships had made contact with a previously unknown species, the Tarlians. The Tarlians were known for their advanced technology and their deep knowledge of the stars, but they had kept to themselves for centuries. No one had dared to approach them until the humans arrived. In a series of tense meetings, humans and Tarlian diplomats exchanged knowledge, technology, and ideas. The humans didn't try to dominate. They simply offered their friendship. The Tarlians, who had long been isolated, were hesitant at first, unsure of how to trust the humans. But over time, they began to see something different in the humans. They saw a species that valued freedom, exploration, and understanding. Unlike the other galactic powers, humans didn't come with threats or demands. They came with an open hand and a willingness to learn. But this development was a problem for the Federation. The idea that humans could unite disparate species into alliances without the Federation's guidance was terrifying. The power of the Federation was based on its ability to control information, resources, and diplomacy. But now, humans were building their own networks of influence. The Federation could no longer rely on its old methods. Back in the Federation's high command, discussions turned from simple control to damage control. The Jari leader, the most pragmatic of them all, finally spoke up. "If we cannot control them, we must at least contain them." We need to keep humanity from gaining too much influence too quickly. Their alliances with other species must be monitored. If we allow them to keep growing, they will eventually surpass us. They must be stopped. The Wrath leader looked around at the council. But how? They're everywhere now. Trying to forcefully oppose them might escalate into a full-scale war. Then we do what we do best, the Jari replied with a wicked smile. We manipulate. We cause division. We pit species against them. And when the time is right, we strike. The Federation's leaders agreed that a direct confrontation with humanity would be catastrophic. Instead, they decided to play a long game, a game of influence and manipulation. They would use the galaxy's existing power structures to create chaos, hoping to destabilize the humans' position before they could grow too powerful. But what the Federation failed to realize was that humanity was not only unpredictable, but also incredibly resilient. They thrived in chaos, learned from their mistakes, and adapted quickly. The Federation may have been playing a long game, but humanity was already playing a much longer one. And they were already several moves ahead. And so, as tensions mounted between the humans and the Galactic Federation, the galaxy held its breath. The final battle for control of the stars had begun, and no one knew where it would end. Would the Federation succeed in keeping humanity under control, or would the humans prove once again that when they said, "Hold my beer," they were only getting started? The Federation's plan to contain humanity had begun in earnest. With their network of spies, diplomats, and influence agents, they set the stage for a series of diplomatic failures and unrest across the galaxy. Their first target was a minor alien race, the Vexari, who had been one of the first to engage in trade with the humans. The Vexari were known for their advanced agricultural technology, and the Federation had been jealous of the alliance between the Vexari and humans. They could not allow such a union to strengthen. Using their influence, the Federation planted seeds of doubt within the Vexari leadership. They spread rumors of human expansionism and military aggression, playing on the Vexari's fears of losing control over their own territory. It worked. Soon, the Vexari began to distance themselves from the humans, canceling trade agreements and withdrawing from joint ventures. The humans, caught off guard by the sudden change in behavior, were forced to reassess their position. But humans, as always, were quick to adapt. The Federation was not prepared for what came next. Instead of responding with hostility, humanity did something the Federation had not expected. They reached out. The human diplomats contacted the Vexari, not with threats, but with offers of help. They proposed new trade routes, offered to share their agricultural technologies, and emphasized the mutual benefits of cooperation. The human approach was calm, rational, and patient, unlike the aggressive tactics the Federation would have employed. The Vexari, surprised by the shift in tone, agreed to meet. At first, they were cautious, unsure of how to respond. However, after a few days of dialogue, it became clear that humanity was not just interested in trade. They wanted to build lasting partnerships based on trust, not fear. This was a moment of great importance for the Federation. The first crack in their control of the galaxy had appeared, and they had underestimated humanity's ability to turn a potential crisis into an opportunity. Their efforts to isolate the humans had failed, and now the Vexari were not only continuing their alliance with the humans, they were deepening it. The Federation's plan had backfired spectacularly. In the midst of this diplomatic victory for humanity, the Federation's leaders were growing desperate. They knew that humanity's ability to adapt was its greatest strength, and this adaptability was something the Federation could not control. The humans weren't just reacting to events, they were shaping them. They weren't simply surviving in the galaxy, they were thriving, expanding, and influencing those around them in ways that no one had predicted. Meanwhile, in the depths of the Federation's command center, a secret meeting was taking place. The leaders were now debating a more drastic course of action. The room fell silent as the leaders considered the situation. The idea of wiping out humanity, or even trying to control them through force, seemed impossible. The humans did not operate by any of the predictable patterns that the Federation relied on. When they said, "Hold my beer," it was not a casual statement. It was a declaration of unpredictability. It was a challenge to the known universe. "What if we try a different approach?" said a young leader from the Viruk, a race known for their innovative and clever strategies. "What if we try to understand them better? What if we figure out how they think?" The Vrath shook his head. "We've already tried that. We've studied their behavior for centuries, and every time, they surprise us. They don't follow any predictable logic, and that makes them dangerous." "But what if we could turn that to our advantage?" suggested a Jari scientist. "Instead of seeing their unpredictability as a threat, what if we embraced it? What if we allowed the humans to keep pushing their limits, knowing that their very nature will keep them from ever aligning with any one group of beings for long? What if we used their chaos to our own benefit?" The idea of controlling the humans by embracing their unpredictability was strange, but there was a growing sense of desperation in the air. No one was sure what the answer was, but it was clear that humanity had become too powerful, too unpredictable, and too dangerous to ignore. The Federation's leaders decided to take action, not by eliminating humanity, but by trying to harness their wild potential. They would begin manipulating events, drawing the humans into situations where they could either be tested or, in the Federation's view, controlled. Meanwhile, across the stars, humanity was unaware of the growing concern that their existence was causing. They had their own problems to focus on, spreading across new star systems, making contact with new alien races, and continuing their unpredictable expansion. When humans said, "Hold my beer," it was never a literal phrase. It was a symbol of their willingness to do the impossible. And it was that very attitude that made them so unpredictable and so valuable. Despite all the Federation's efforts to manage the humans, they continued to rise. Whether it was defeating invincible alien threats, coming up with out-of-the-box solutions to intergalactic crises, or simply surviving in the harshest of environments, humans never stopped proving that they were a force to be reckoned with. And while the Federation's leaders scrambled to adjust to this new reality, humanity grew more confident in their own abilities. They didn't know what the future held, but they were sure of one thing: they were going to face it head-on, without hesitation. And whenever the galaxy would say, "You can't do it," humanity would simply reply, "Hold my beer." But even as humanity continued to expand and prove its worth, some of the older races of the galaxy were beginning to see the humans in a new light. The fear of their unpredictable nature slowly gave way to a strange kind of respect. Some races began to think that perhaps it wasn't just their power or their will to dominate that made humanity unique. It was something deeper, something more than a fearsome force to be reckoned with. Maybe the galaxy didn't need to fight the humans after all. Maybe, just maybe, the humans could teach them something that had been lost to the stars for millennia: how to thrive in the unknown. But that realization was still far from reach. For now, the galaxy watched with bated breath as humanity continued to break boundaries, to push limits, and to show the universe that when humans said, "Hold my beer," the galaxy's threat level was bound to rise. And with that, the question remained: could the galaxy control the humans, or had they already become too wild, too free, and too powerful to be contained? Only time would tell. Human colony, a central hub of human innovation and technology. Their forces descended without warning, unleashing a barrage of energy blasts and sending shockwaves through the planet's atmosphere. The attack was designed to cripple humanity's ability to retaliate and force them into submission. But the Federation had miscalculated once again. As their ships entered the atmosphere, they encountered something they hadn't anticipated: human ingenuity and courage. The attack had been expected, and humanity had prepared. The Federation's assault was met with a fierce defense, an array of advanced weaponry and military tactics that had caught the Federation off guard. Human ships, once considered inferior to the Federation's mighty fleets, fought with a wild, unrelenting determination. Each human soldier fought like their life depended on it. because it did. They had more than just survival at stake. They were fighting for their future. The Federation had made the mistake of thinking they could break humanity with one strike. But now, they were learning the hard way. Humans didn't break. They adapted. They fought back. As the battle raged on, the Federation's leaders watched in horror. Their plan had failed. The galaxy was witnessing the rise of a new power, one that had been underestimated for far too long. The humans were no longer the naive species they had once been. They had learned, grown, and fought their way to the top. And now, with the Federation's attack failing, they were about to prove to the galaxy that humanity was not a species to be feared, but one to be reckoned with. The galaxy would never be the same again.